Welcome to the Delphic Dumpsterfire. I'm Zach,
I'm Chris.
and this is episode 2.
Feed me the juice, snaggle juice, they miracles. No more bugs, sitting by Imperials. I got needs.
Boot Camp Revisited.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, the reason we're doing this one is because we got some feedback from episode 1, our hour and a half rant. And we heard a lot of people say that, or we heard multiple times that the boot camp part was cool, and people wanted to hear more. One of those people who watched that episode and said they wanted more boot camp stories was, in fact, one of my drill sergeants from basic training in the Army.
Which is surprising.
It was quite a surprise.
Yeah, especially since I'd mentioned speaking to drill sergeants in the future.
Right. I mean, who would think?
Yeah, what are the odds?
What are the odds that we're going to get a real life drill instructor
talking to us about our podcast? Yeah.
So she had she had a comment she sent to us after she watched the episode. I'm gonna play it for you real quick, give you some context as to why we're doing this.
Okay, so I watched it. Wasn't that bad. But, is your friend stoned? Because your friend sounds stoned as fuck.
She's talking about Zach.
And 2, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping for more stories or detailed stories of basic training.
She seems nice.
Yeah, no, she's super cool. She's cool. We don't really, we haven't really talked that much since I left, but, you know.
I mean, I'll try my best not to sound stoned as fuck.
I don't know if there's anything you can do about that, man.
I don't know.
I think that's just the way it is.
Yep.
And it's funny that, you're the one who sounds stoned.
Yeah.
Because you're the one who never does
anything.
Never gets stoned. But
usually people tell me I look stoned.
You got the whole package.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've gone out in public and people have either tried to sell me drugs or ask me to sell them drugs. And I'm just like, okay.
Well, think about it, man. You got knuckle tats.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
You got knuckle tattoos. All right. Hold it up for the world to see. Let's see your drug dealer hands. Yeah. So anyways, this is going to be an episode just about basic training.
Mm-hmm.
Zach was in the Air Force. I was in the Army. And yeah, so that's the preface. What was some experiences you had going in? What was an experience that you'd like to share with us about?
What kind of experience?
Well, what about day one? What about day one?
Day one.
Not MEPS, not processing, but the day one.
Okay.
Day one. Your first day of being in the Air Force.
First day of boot camp.
First day of boot camp. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start on the bus, right? So you want me to skip MEPS and all that? I just got off the plane. I'm in San Antonio at Lackland Air Force Base.
You're on the bus.
And they put us on a bus. It's nighttime. It's dark as fuck.
There's a bunch of y'all in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember I had a window seat. And the dude next to me, we're like looking at each other. Like they're taking us to our barracks. And we're like, yeah, man, it's going to be so dope. We had no idea what to expect. We were stoked, man.
You giddy.
You're like, oh, man, I can't believe we're going to boot camp. He's like, yeah, man, me too. It's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we pull up to the barracks. And we're just sitting there like for 5 minutes. We got our bags in our laps. We're just sitting there. And we're just chatting. Everybody's talking. Next thing you know, like this,
shooting the shit.
Yeah, this tall guy, like I'm talking like 6'3", walks up on the bus.
Big
He's
old
got
dude.
this. I mean, he was thin, but I mean he was big.
He's a big guy.
But he had that big hat on, so it made him like 6'6". His hat is huge. He comes on the bus and he just like looks around at us, looks at both rows, and he's like, "Don't say shit." Then he does this. Like he was cutting our umbilical cord.
Snip, snip.
Yeah, it didn't say nothing. I saw that and I was like, what the hell is that about? Later, I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, he was making a
Yeah, it was
reference
witty,
to it.
witty as
Unbelievable.
hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, he's like screaming at us, like, get the fuck off the bus. Get off my fucking bus. And we're just like, oh, what the hell? Like, I'm looking at the dude next to me, like, we're getting yelled at. Like, he's looking at me, like, we're both terrified. Like, what's
Terrified.
going on?
Terrified.
Like, we didn't expect that.
Of course not.
You know, we're supposed to learn how to
You've never been to boot camp before.
make fires and shoot guns and, I don't know,
Kill terrorists.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Rainbow Six.
Fly plane, whatever. Anyways. So we get off the bus hastily. Because,
With haste.
yeah.
Post haste.
Yeah, just get the fuck off his bus. So
Get off
you were
this
getting
bus.
the fuck off his bus.
Right.
And we get down there, and next thing you know, we're in like this concrete bay underneath there's like concrete awning, and they're putting us all in formation, like telling us to sit our bags next to us,
Mm-hmm.
and no one knows whether to put it down the left or right side. So people are getting screamed at because they're not really saying like put it down to your right. It's just
Mhm.
like if you didn't put it down on your right side, you were getting lit up.
Mm-hmm.
Make no sense, but anyways.
Nothing. A lot of things don't make sense.
Yeah, so
in basic training,
like the terror continues.
The terror
Like
continues.
the stress level,
it just
you know,
increases.
the BPMs are just up there.
Right.
You know.
Right. Beats per minute. Just for all
Just
you non-medical
scared.
savvy folks out there.
And then
That's a heart
they get us up there to the
thing.
second floor of the barracks and stick us in the day room.
The day room.
And I'm just full of questions, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on?
You're a
You know?
curious guy.
Yeah, I'm a curious dude. I was a kid. I was like 18.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, they have us all sit down. We're sitting there with our bags in our laps, and they hand us each a piece of paper, and they're like, all right, you're going to make a phone call. Your address is on this card. I want you to call your mama, whoever the fuck. I want you to tell them your address, and you're going to hang up. You got 30 seconds. Go. So I'm like, oh my God. Wait, did he say go? So I like raised my hand. He's like, what? And I stood up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, sir, I got a question. He's like, sit the fuck down. There are no
Mhm.
questions.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yes, there
dude.
is.
I'm like, I have questions. I sit down. And he's giving more instructions. I stand back up, raise my hand. And I should
That
preface,
move.
like I wore skinny jeans to boot camp.
Yeah,
So-
well, because
and like
he wore skinny jeans everywhere.
yeah, I wore tight jeans, so you can
It's
see all my stuff down there.
So unfortunate.
So
for
I stood up.
planet Earth.
I stood up for a second time, raised my
Mhm.
hand, and he's like, "Sit the fuck down. I don't want to look at your dick." And I was like,
The truth comes out.
I was insulted,
The plot thickens.
and because of that, he spent like the next week addressing me as trainee dickhead.
Well, that's because that's what you were.
So I would wake up every day.
That's what you were to
just-
him.
Just hurt because I would, yeah,
You wake up in the morning, dickhead.
yeah,
You go to sleep at night, dickhead.
yeah.
You eat
They-
lunch.
Like the one piece of advice that people will give you for when you're going to boot camp.
Mhm.
It's like the major piece of advice is don't let them know your name.
Right,
Like
blend in.
Like if they know your name,
Something's not right.
You done goofed.
Yeah.
But he
You want to be anonymous.
Yeah, he skipped my name and went straight to dickhead.
Yeah, it's
So,
one thing for them to know your name, but if they're giving you a name, that's even worse. That's the next level of that. So not only, yeah. So your chance to blend in, right off the bat, that's done. That's over.
Yeah,
That's just you are
It wasn't fun.
private dickhead. I bet there wasn't any other private dickheads.
Yeah,
I think
trainee
you were probably the
dickhead,
only
yeah.
one trainee dickhead.
Yeah,
That's not good.
I
That's-
think
that's
at
a
some
bad-
point it actually turned into asshole, trainee asshole. I don't
Oh.
know why he changed the name, but he did.
Yeah.
But it was super demeaning, you know. It got to me. I was like, I don't want to be trainee dickhead or trainee asshole.
dude, it's your own fault. You wore skinny jeans.
Yeah.
You
And
brought
I
that
tried
one.
to ask questions. Like you can't do that.
Well, we're raised, culture today. There's no such thing as a dumb question, right? I mean, that's what you hear your whole life.
Yeah, all questions are dumb questions in boot camp.
Yeah, there is no question, like he said.
You just learn.
Like he said, there's no question. I have a question. No, there's no questions.
Answers will be given.
Well,
What about you?
Man.
How was your first day?
my first day wasn't that bad. I will say this. I didn't have that moment on the bus, where I was all excited or whatever. But I did have that feeling of excitement. And I did, I looked at the guy next to me, like you were saying, when we got over there, and this happened. We had just gotten to Fort Jackson in South Carolina. And we arrived from the airport. It was like 12. It was like midnight, and we got there, and the bus stopped, and this female drill sergeant came on the bus. She didn't really say anything crazy. She just said, "You're in the Army now," basically. Pulled us out, and she had us stand into two lines facing each other, like out after we got off the bus. So there's a line here facing that way. There's a line of people facing this way. So there's probably about 50 of us, maybe more. And she was just going over, just basic stuff, what we were going to be doing. This was in processing. This was before even the first day, really. And somebody said something, or they were talking, or something. Honestly, I don't even remember what it was. But she told everybody to drop and do 20 push-ups, and that was it. That was when it really clicked. It was like, oh, I can't not do this. Like, I have to do these push-ups right now. Like, I'm in the Army.
Get on your face.
Get down, son.
Texas into Mexico.
But my first real day was after we were got through the in-processing, which is like where you get your uniforms and stuff like that. And they bus you from the in-processing part of the base to the training part of the base. And it's a huge base. So we're on that bus, and now we already know nobody's excited. Nobody's happy. Nobody's like, yeah, we're going to be in the Army. Everybody's just quiet. And we still have our civilian clothes. And we've got these big duffel bags. And I don't know how we did it, but we somehow managed to fit everything that we were issued into this duffel bag.
Yeah,
but it was a tight squeeze, man. Like, that thing was full, and they were so heavy. So I had a backpack on, and I had this big duffel bag. No, I take that back. The backpack was inside the duffel bag, and everything was in the duffel bag. Very heavy duffel bag. And sure enough, we stopped, the bus stopped. Here comes drill sergeant. And that was the first time we really got yelled at. And it was the same thing like you said. Get the fuck off the bus, blah, blah, blah. And they had like stations. They wouldn't tell us where to go, but we had to run. And so we got off the bus, and there's a drill sergeant saying, run, move, trainees, blah, blah, blah. And then we would like turn the corner. There'd be another drill sergeant. He's like, you're going the wrong way, trainee, blah, blah, blah. And then, so we finally make our way to the place where we do our drill and everything. And they have us raise up your bags above your head. So we got the duffel bags above our head. They said, drop them on the ground, pick them up, drop them on the ground, squat down. They're just going just all out. And then they stop, and the lead drill instructor goes to the podium, and he basically says, you're in the Army now. And local people, their parents were allowed to come, and so there was all these civilians videotaping and taking pictures of us just getting our asses kicked by these drill sergeants, throwing our duffel bag on the ground and picking it back up, and everybody's just like, oh my God, and we're reaching muscle failure like 5 minutes in, like we can't even like pick up our arms. And so that was my first day. It was a pretty interesting experience.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there's a few things that Air Force and Army would have in common.
Right.
As far as boot camp. I mean, most things wouldn't be in common. We had a ton of classes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like we spent at least 20, 30 hours a week sitting in classes. It was awful.
We didn't have that much class.
But surely we both went through the gas chamber.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
I know I did.
That was that was fun.
That was fun, bro. That was a great time.
That sucked, but it was like, it's
was
like a
awesome.
fun memory,
It
right?
was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I was totally fine with that.
Really?
I was totally fine with it.
I didn't know what to expect.
I didn't know what to expect either, but I knew no matter what, I wasn't gonna die. I knew that there was no threat of death, so I was like,
Yeah.
hell yeah, let's do
You want to go
this.
first? You want me to go first?
I don't really have. I'll go first.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't really have much to say about it. I just want to put it out there. The gas chamber sucks, and you will get gassed if you go to any military basic training. Navy does it. Marine, everybody does it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So you're gonna get gassed, and what that means is, at least for me, what they did is they have you set up outside this like small house thing in the woods, middle of nowhere, and you get issued a gas mask and teach you how to put it on. And what they do is they walk you into a room and they tell you, how to work your gas mask, basically. So what you got to do is you walk into the room with your gas mask on. You're walking in and it's on. Okay. So you walk in there, they release the gas, and you're fine. And it wasn't like thick gas like you'd think of like in a movie, like green gas, right? It was like transparent. You couldn't even tell that there was gas in the room. You couldn't even tell. And so honestly, it was like with your gas mask on, you didn't even know that there was gas. Like it was just being in a room. So we're lined up on the sides of the walls in the gas room, and the first thing we have to do is shut our eyes, hold our breath, take the mask off with our eyes closed and holding our breath, and let us be in the gas, put the mask back on, and clear it. So you go like this, and they say, okay, put it back on. You put it back on, and you've got gas in your mask. And if you don't clear it, you're just stuck in your gas mask with gas. So you got to put it back on and then blow really hard with your hand covering the front to push out that air. And I did it correctly. And I had no gas in my mask whatsoever. Honestly, I didn't even know that there was gas in the room. I wasn't sure if they were joking and it started or what, because I did it right. But then he said, all right, time to do PT. So we started doing push-ups, we started doing jumping jacks, we started doing exercises with our gas masks on. And let me tell you something, man, that was not fun. Doing anything with the gas mask on sucks. Okay, but anyways, so that happens. We're sweaty, can't really breathe too good. And then they said, okay, take them off. But trainees, you will open your eyes and you will breathe deep. Or we will not leave this, and we will not leave this room until all of you do. And so I was like, all right, here we go. And sure enough, we took the masks off. I opened my eyes, I breathed in, and for about 3 seconds, nothing. Nothing at all. And then it just happened. And it happened to everybody at the same time. And all of a sudden, the entire room is full of just asthmatic, wheezing agony. And I mean, we are just coughing and our eyes are puffed up. You can't see nothing. And it felt like an eternity. And we finally, they rush us out and we're doing the chicken thing with our arms. I guess that's to get like the gas out of your lungs. They have everybody doing this, right? And dude, there's just snot. There's just so much snot, man. And I made the mistake of rubbing my eyes.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude.
Oh shit.
It's not good. But dude, the snot level is intense. I did not know, but I didn't even know that humans had that much snot in them at one time, bro. There was snot everywhere, and everybody had snot everywhere. So that's my gas chamber story. It was great, man. I look back on it. I would gladly do it again. It was really cool. The eye pain lasted for about 15 minutes. As far as breathing goes, I was back to normal in about 5 minutes. But yeah, it was pretty painful. It sucked, but it sucked in a cool way. Like, where else in your life are you ever going to get gassed? That's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
You know?
I've heard that, like, once you've been gassed once, the next time it's not so bad.
You can become immune to that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can become immune to it.
There was like one drill instructor that said that he'd been gassed like 9 times, and he said when he gets gassed, it don't do nothing to him.
There's some people that just their body doesn't even react to it. But yeah, once you can like acquire a tolerance or something, like if you've had it happen enough times.
Well, that and like you've experienced and you experience it, so it's not like if it happens to you, it's just foreign.
Are you recording on the camcorder?
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, your
my story.
your gas chamber experience.
So ours was like an all-day thing, I think,
Mm-hmm.
or at least a half day. It was long, so we spent. It was like off base. There was like the base, and then there was you take a bus ride to this one area where they had what was called Beast Week. So it was all outdoors. So you would like when you went to Beast Week, you had to like build a camp, all kinds of crap, and you were there for all week. But anyways, they buzzed us to this area, and we spent it seemed like hours putting our PPE on.
What is a PPE?
Like our gas equipment. So you had to put on the rubber boots, you had to put on your oversuit.
Right.
And then you had to do it in like, they showed you how to do it and then you drilled.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you had to do was put all that shit on in 60 seconds.
Right.
And until everyone was doing it in 60 seconds, you just kept doing it. I feel like we did it forever.
Yeah.
And then finally, it was time to go into the gas chamber. And it was in this building. It had a big tin roof, it seemed like, and a big concrete pad. So like half of it was like this building, the other half of this concrete pad where we did all of our, our PPE and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like we had to learn how to stuff it all in the mow bag and then take it out of the mow bag. I think it was called a mow bag, a sea bag. I don't know what it was called. Anyways, and then we eat lunch, and the next thing you know, we're about to go do the gas chamber, and like
y'all ate lunch first.
Yeah, we had to eat. Well, because we were there like all day.
Okay.
It was hot as hell. Like when I went to boot camp in September.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it was so hot.
I went to boot camp in the winter. It was the middle of winter. Super cold.
So hot.
Totally opposite experience.
So anyways, yeah, we're hot all day. Plus putting all that equipment on.
And it gets hot.
Yeah. And so you're finally about to go into the gas chamber, and they had 2 rooms. So they had 2 lines. You had to put on your gas equipment, and then you'd finally get to the front of the line. I think they did like 5 people at a time. And so you get to the front of the line, they check, you would clear your mask, and then you'd walk in with the 5 people, and then you would all stand along the wall. And then what they did was they're like, okay, I'm going to drop this pellet in here. Gas is going to fill the room. And then we're going to do some PT. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to come to each one of you, and you're going to take off your gas mask, and then you're going to say, sir, or something, trainee so-and-so reports as ordered. It was like something, your address that you had to do. And then you had to stand there for like 10 seconds or something, and then you could leave. And so, all right, so we're in there. He dropped this little, it looked like a pill, like a little vitamin. He dropped it in this container that had like a metal grate on top. And the next thing you know, you could see the smoke coming up. And so he's like, all right, let's start doing some jumping jacks. So we're doing jumping jacks and stuff with the gas in the room. And like you can tell that some people didn't have
put
their
mask
shit
on, right?
like
Yeah.
they didn't have it sealed real good. And so they'd be like, and they'd be like, it's burning. And you'd be like, your own fault, man.
Yeah, you should have done it right.
And so like we're kind of giggling at those people there,
Yeah, you're not
to yourself.
You're not giggling for long,
it's
buddy.
Funny.
It is.
And then so we did our PT. We only did PT for like 2 or 3 minutes, right? Just
real quick, just to
real
work
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next thing you know, like, all right, first person. All right, take off your mask, sir, trainee. And then they're trying to run for the door, right? And they're like, if you run out, you're coming right back in here.
Yeah.
And so they would grab him and be like, you're staying here. You count to 10, or you wait 10 seconds until we say you can go. And so, they're like, and then they finally let him go. And I'm just like, all of us on the wall, they just saw that happen, are laughing, dude. Yeah, I'm just so like, it's so funny, man. So and then I finally get up there. He's like, all right, take off your mask. And I pull that thing off. I'm like, sir, trainee runner, repeat. And he's like, just stand there, wait. And I'm like, I'm just like, my eyes are on fire, dude. Everything's on, my lungs are on fire. And finally, he's like, all right, go. And you had to walk out. You could not run out the door.
Don't run.
When he told you to go, you walked out. So you walk out and you got to walk about 100 yards to this, like, I don't know, this area where everyone else was. And, like, the whole way there, like,
you're just dying.
I was blind, dude.
Yeah,
I think I went blind.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like, I
Yeah.
could not see. And then, of course, like, I was super stuffy. But the worst part about it, like, I didn't have boogers hanging down or nothing. But, like, I thought I was permanently blind.
Like it was not going to go away.
It was so painful.
Yeah.
That was
the worst part for me, too.
I finally was able to, like, you know, I didn't touch my eyes or nothing. I didn't touch nothing.
Yeah.
And I just stood there and was just crying, right? Not like boohooing, but it's just like
you can't stop the water
just
from
can't
coming out
stop
of your
it.
eyeballs. Like it's
and
not.
finally it kind of went away. And, but I'm looking around. There's people walking up who just came out. And I remember seeing people with snot
Just
strings,
lines
like
to the ground,
waving in the air, like down to their feet.
I know, bro.
But the bad thing was, so there was 2 rooms, right? So I went in the left room. So when you come out, you think you're good, but the left or the right room's door is open too. So you get a second wave. Oh, no. Like you're trying to walk past the door, it hits you again.
Oh no!
So yeah, it was insane, dude.
Second
but
wave.
It's cool though, because you're like, yeah, I went to gas chamber.
Yeah, you can tell everybody.
Like, you did that? Like, yeah, man, it's dope.
I got gassed, man.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I
Went
did.
through some fucking pain.
I did some shit, man.
It's fun though.
I had some.
It's just a funny memory.
Yeah. Did they have people taking pictures and video recording you like after you were coming out? Like we had a documentary crew that followed our company around to make the video for boot camp for the
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they that was one of the segments they did was the gas chamber, obviously. And they had these people set up outside the exit door, and they were videotaping and taking pictures of everybody struggling when they first came out of the chamber.
They had that.
It was so funny.
But it was something you had to pay for.
Well, yeah, you had to pay for it. Yeah, I bought it.
And I didn't. But I talked to one of the guys from my flight here a couple weeks ago, because we have a Facebook group for our boot camp flight. Or, like we'll say something like every couple of years. I mean, it's been 10 years since I went to boot camp.
Right.
But every once in a while we'll, you know, say something in there. And I was like, does anybody have that video? Because I didn't buy it. I didn't buy shit. Some people bought like the class rings,
the plaques,
the pictures. Yeah. And then there's a video, because there's a video crew that went through the obstacle course and crap. It was, I'm like, I want to see that shit. But
you do want to see that?
I want to see it.
Yeah.
He said that he's got it somewhere. I guess it's at his mom's house. And I was like, dude, I want to see that crap.
Yeah, I bought our DVD, and it's just like you said. They followed us when we did all the
obstacle
courses.
We'll have to watch that.
Yeah, we should watch it. I'm in it a few times, but it's such a big. There's so many people that finding yourself is kind of hard. But I'm in it a few times. The obstacle courses were fun, man. I had a good time on the obstacle courses, dude.
Yes. I think that was like my favorite part of
boot
camp.
You know what I had to overcome was my fear of heights. I have a serious fear of heights. And that was my biggest that was the biggest thing I overcame, because man, I'm scared of heights, man. I'm just not good with heights. I don't like it. But now that I've gone through basic, I know that I can do it. And it feels good looking back on that, knowing like, man, I stared my biggest fear right in the face and said, not today.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
So did they do like a walkthrough before y'all had to go through it? Like they show you like, this is what you're going to do. Because ours was like 1 or 2 miles long. Like it was long, dude. Like it took a long time to get through it, and we had I think we had like 20 obstacles. I don't know. I don't know the number on that. But I remember like we did a walkthrough of it, and then I remember every obstacle I came across, I would look at it and be like, I can't do that. There's no way I could do that. There was like one it was in an incline like that, right? Like you're looking straight at it, and it's inclined like that. It's a wall, and it was like almost like a ladder, big huge ladder of 4x4s going up. So you had to climb up, climb over, and climb back down the backside. But I'm telling you, it had a crazy incline.
Angle. Yeah.
And I remember looking at that, and I was like, can't do that. Then there was another one.
Excuse me.
There was another one that was similar to that, to where it was another ladder going up. and the 4x4s were spaced further apart. So what you had to do is you had to climb in and out of each one.
Really?
And it was like all the way up.
That's interesting.
And I saw that one. I was like, nope, can't do that shit either.
Mhm.
But man, I tell you what, when I first started that obstacle course, they're like go, and you're just going. But check this out. The first obstacle were these logs, right? So there was 3 logs that were horizontal. And the first one you got to jump over. The second one you got to crawl under. Third one you got to jump and climb over.
Mm-hmm.
And he says go, and I'm running, and I go to jump over the first one, and I rack myself right in the dick. I mean, I jump, and I just did not jump high enough. I went boom. Oh, like I just started this, and I crawl over like all in pain, and I'm going, but
I done hit my
and
dick.
then I came up to those obstacles that I had told myself I wasn't capable of doing, and I
You rocked it.
beast mode that
Hell yeah,
thing,
you did.
man.
Yeah.
I killed that whole thing.
Mhm.
And the very last obstacle, the very last thing, the moment of truth, it was this rope swing
The infamous rope swing.
that was over a pool of water.
Mm-hmm. Mud.
And it was a flip of a coin whether you were going to fall in that water or you were going to make it to the other side.
Right.
Because it was 10 or 15 feet.
Plus your arms
So
are tired from all the climbing you've
like,
already
it's the
done.
last thing you do.
Yeah.
You got to run.
Your body's
you gotta
already
grab the
tired.
rope and Tomb Raider that shit and jump off on the other side.
Right.
I made it across and I was like,
I'm done.
be like, I did that.
Bitch.
One other thing. So right after I racked my balls, one of the next obstacles was another pool. Right. So it was the first pool you came across, and there was a rope that went from one side to the other, and then about 6 feet down was another rope that went across, and you had to ranger crawl across it.
Mhm.
And I get up there to ranger crawl, and I slip, and luckily that bottom rope was there, and I had to shimmy all the way across.
Mm-hmm.
My hands were fucked.
Yeah, bro. My hands were pretty messed up too. You know, it was winter when I went, so it was cold and we had gloves. But we couldn't use the gloves for the obstacle course. We had to take them off, and it was really, really cold. And so, I mean, as you know, in the cold, everything hurts more. You know what I mean? Like your skin, like it. Just
Yeah,
hurts more.
definitely. Yeah, it's just tight.
Just tight. Yeah. So that sucked. But no, see, we had a couple of different obstacle courses. But I will say this. Like I was saying about my fear of heights and everything. Overcoming that was pretty cool. But it still sucked. Like, it was not fun.
Yeah.
But once I did see, for me, it was this big. It was straight up and down. It was like a big wooden ladder, like for a giant, right? Like a giant's ladder. It's just huge pieces of wood, and it's high, bro. I mean, it goes up there.
Right.
And they have the drill instructor at the top in this seat thing, and he's got a harness, and he's connected by a rope to the heart. So he's sitting in the seat, and you climb up this big ass ladder, and man, it is tall. And you get to the top, and you have to cross the bar at the top and then come down, like you were saying, but without the slant. Same concept.
Yeah.
And at the top, the drill instructor is sitting there, and he's in his harness. And man, you look down, and seriously, dude, if you fell off that, bro, you're gonna die. I mean, there's no rope.
Well, you're getting hurt.
Bro. It best case scenario, you're breaking something.
Mm-hmm.
Best case. Worst case, you land wrong, you're paralyzed for life. I mean, I'm telling you, dog. It was intense. So anyway, I did that. That was cool. Got it done. Didn't even give myself time to think about it, I just walked up and did it. But it was scary as fuck. But what I was going to say, you were talking about your rope swing thing and how that was your moment of truth.
Yeah.
My moment of truth at the obstacle course was this big ladder you had to climb up, and there's a rope that at the top that's coming down, and it's connected to the ground, so it makes like a triangle. The ladder, and then the rope goes down, and you have to, under the rope, you have to grab the rope and cross your legs over it, so you're hanging down below the rope, and you have to shimmy your way down the rope.
Yeah, that's
upside
tough.
down. And there's a net underneath, so if you fall, you don't die. And man, I got going, and it was tough. It was way harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I failed it.
Wow.
I failed it. I didn't even get. I got like maybe halfway, and I couldn't do it.
It's hard, dude.
It's
All your
really
body
hard.
weight.
It's really hard. So I failed, and the drill instructor jumped on me, man, and he said, "Get back in line. You're doing it again." And I failed again. And by that time, and he said, Private 8, get in line. And at that time, I'd already tried to do it twice. My muscles were done, dude. I mean, I had
It's willpower past that point.
I was exerted fully. I was exhausted. My body was like fatigued, right? My forearms have never felt so thick and tight in my life. I can't even describe to you. They were rocks, man.
Yeah.
Okay. But that third time I said, man, I'm going to be here all day. I got to do this. And I don't even know, man. I don't know how I did it, but man, I just dug deep, and I found that strength, and I completed it on the third try. And I was like, man, I just did that.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I just did that. Like, I didn't think I could do it. I knew I couldn't do it,
Yeah.
but I did it. It was very, very cool feeling. So that's my obstacle course story. Obstacle courses are fun, man. You know that I did my obstacle course with a somewhat fractured hip, because we did that before I went to
That's
the.
a bad idea.
I didn't know that it was fractured, because I did that before they made me go to sick call. They made me go. I wouldn't go. So I was running, jogging, doing all the PT, doing these obstacle courses with my hip already messed up, and that's what made it worse, I guess. And
Yeah.
by the time I finally went to sick call, the drill instructors had to make me go because I wouldn't go. And finally, I went, got x-rayed, found out that had happened, and it was.
Yeah. Maybe that's something that, like, I mean, surely by now they've had a briefing on something like that, where
Well,
they need to, like,
it's the most common injury in basic
Yeah.
training is hip fractures. Is they see it all the time.
yeah. It's a shame though, because like,
It's very common.
if you would have gone to sick call earlier, you probably would have. I mean, you'd been recycled, but at least you would have been able to go through.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that kind of sucks is that even on day one, like, the drill sergeants like tell you not to go to sick call. Like, they're talking about, like, you feel like you need to go to sick call. You feel sick. Well, don't go, because you're not. They kind of make it seem like you're weak, or it's not good to go to sick call. And I understand where that's coming from. Like, be a man, tough it out. You got a cold. You don't need to go to sick call because your foot hurts because you got blister. But I had a legitimate thing. I didn't know that it was a legitimate thing, because it started out as just a dull ache, and just progressively got worse. But anyways.
Yeah, when I went through is when the swine flu thing was going on, and swine flu. They were locking down flights. They're putting them on what's it called?
Where they. Oh, dude, I can't think of the word.
I can't think of it either, but we're thinking it.
Yeah, we're thinking the same word.
I think it starts with an M.
They're
Anyways, they quarantined them.
They
were quarantining.
Quarantine.
Flights. And I remember they were
Starts
telling
with Q.
us, like, you need to go to sick call if you get that shit, because it was bad.
Uh-huh.
And I remember there were dudes in my flight that were getting sick left and right.
Oh yeah.
And I would look at them, they'd be just snotty and crap, and I was like, I don't want to be that way. So
Dude.
how I think I avoided it, I'm allergic to fruit. But I'm telling you, I ate nothing but fruit.
Mm-hmm.
I ate nothing but healthy stuff. I didn't
Vitamin
drink
C.
any milk. Everyone's drinking chocolate milk and milk.
I drank a lot of
I
chocolate.
was like, I'm not touching that. And I didn't get sick. So it's like if you don't want to go to sick call, like you don't want to go to sick call because
Some people do want to go
that
to sick call.
that might lengthen your time at boot camp.
A lot of people want to go to sick call.
But avoiding sick call is a better idea. Like trying to not get sick.
Oh yeah, for
you
sure.
know.
Prevention is always the best way.
Yeah. Well, your drill sergeant mentioned that she wanted us to talk about our most traumatic experiences.
That's right. Yeah, she did. She had a suggestion for a topic. So
Like,
I think that's a good place to maybe just mention like how cool it is that my drill sergeant is like cool with all this.
Yeah, it is cool.
That's so cool, man. Anyways, so back to business. What would you say your most, well, maybe not most, but a traumatic,
Well, the thing
that stood with you? What did she say?
what I experienced that sucked the most.
That sucked the most.
Okay, and it wasn't caused by a
In
drill
basic.
instructor.
In
It
basic.
wasn't. Yeah, in basic.
In basic.
The worst thing that I went through, was the way that civilians treated me.
Really?
Like that was the biggest mindfuck for me.
What do
Was
you mean?
because it was like you expected drill instructors to be mean, right? Because they were mean.
Mm-hmm. That's their job.
Their job is to be mean, but like you would have to go to the doctor, anywhere where you were processing, where there was a civilian there. Like you look, they're in civvies.
Mm-hmm.
They were still mean, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like there wasn't
Arbitrarily.
like there was no way to escape feeling like a worm.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like that was it. Like it wasn't like I went through a lot of crazy crap with TIs. Like
Mm-hmm.
I went through the ringer, but still to me, the biggest thing that jacked with my head was how the civilians treated me. Because they were just,
I can understand that.
they were awful, man.
Because you go in knowing that your drill instructors are going to be dicks, you know.
Yeah, you're just
But
assuming that, hey, that's a normal person. I
That's
used
just-
to be
that's
one of
just a
those.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
he doesn't care if I pass or fail. He doesn't know my name or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crappy. That's interesting, man. I never would have thought about that, but that's a good insight. You know,
Yeah.
I can definitely understand where you're coming from on that one. Because you're right, man. These are just people. Like they're not military people. You know, they work on a military base or they work for whatever military branch or whatever. But I mean, they're doctors or file
Whatever.
clerks or
Yeah.
whatever.
File clerks treating you like shit.
File
You're like,
clerks,
dude, what the hell?
Like when you go to set up all your banking stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just reinforces what the
The
drill instructor
worthlessness,
says.
right.
Like you were nothing.
Not only are you nothing, but you're nothing to everybody.
Yeah.
You're not just nothing to me, the drill instructor. You're nothing to planet Earth.
Right.
You're even nothing to these civilians.
Well, what about you?
I don't know, man. I think obviously the most traumatic thing for me personally was, my injury. And it wasn't, traumatic in the sense of like it happening. It was traumatic in, man, just the loss of control in my own future. I didn't have a choice. I had to walk on crutches. I couldn't be in the formation.
Right.
I couldn't do the chants with everybody as they're marching. I got to be off to the side with the other, they call them tink tinks, people on crutches, people with injuries, because the sound that the crutches, the crutches make that sound when they hit the street.
Yeah.
Tink, tink, tink.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was with the tink tinks, and I hated every second of it because I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
I joined and I wanted to be there, and I wanted it, and I was willing to work. I mean, like I just told you, man, I overcame fears. Like I was really into it, man.
Yeah.
So
Once
for me, that being cordoned off, that being separated, not being able to do the things that I know I can do, I still got to, I still qualified with the weapons. I did, everything except for basically pass the final PT test, obviously, because I couldn't take it. But it was just, it maybe not traumatic, but it just kind of, it was just really crappy, man. I really wanted to be there. There was a lot of people that didn't want to be there. There was a lot of people that weren't putting in the effort, that were doing things, that got to do things that I wanted to do. Right. That they didn't deserve. I don't know, man. It just sucks not having the ability to prove yourself.
All right. Or spent so much time proving yourself. Like you went through that change. You know, you overcame obstacles, you overcame fears, and you meshed with your group. So what do you want to do at that point? Like, because when you start out, you're like scared, and then surely there's a point where you're like, why am I doing this? Do I even want to be here? And then by the time you get to the end, you're like, dude, this is me. I can do this.
Yeah, that feeling is so great, man.
Yeah,
I just wish that I could have, finished it. I wish that I could have been able to keep going.
Right.
And it's just out of my hands. That lack of control is what really sucked for me. So that's my story. Just my traumatic experience. I think this has gone well.
Yeah,
I think that this is a topic that most people will never ever even be able to understand. Aside from listening to somebody who's been through it.
Yeah, I remember when it happened to you. I started looking on YouTube for people that experienced the same thing. I found a few.
Yeah, there's good stuff out there, but
But I didn't hear most of those people, those YouTubers saying, they didn't seem too upset.
Yeah, right. Didn't seem as real. Because I saw some stuff too,
Yeah.
But I think that very few people join the military. Very few people go through basic training. It's a small percentage. It's a very small percentage of the population. It's an experience that the vast majority of people do not volunteer for.
Yeah. And boot camp, like, there's hardly, unless you pick a job where you need to go to like SEER training, cold weather training,
where they like break your pinky,
parachute, whatever school, whatever extra school. Like, and most jobs don't require that. Mm-hmm. But unless you have a job like that, boot camp is the hardest part of your journey. Like, it, like, in terms of the amount of stress and the amount of physical effort you have to put in, like, all that packed into one small place.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I never deployed, so I can't say that deployment might not be worse. But I'm saying, like, for those in my situation where you served and, didn't deploy, didn't go to extra schools, boot camp was the hardest part. So you made it through. You didn't do your last PT test, but dude, I think that you do deserve some credit.
Well, deserved or not, I'll be honest, man. I don't really care too much about getting credit. I like the fact that I did it. I feel like I know for a fact that I could have not easily. I know for a fact that I could have done it. Yeah. Had I not gotten hurt, I know for a fact.
I like the fact that you went. It gives us something to talk about.
Well, I mean, I like the fact that I
relate to
too.
some things because otherwise we're like
Star
Wars. What else? Nothing.
Not much. And even on Star Wars, we usually end up arguing, arguing over lore.
Yeah.
And theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a Star Wars episode soon, man.
Surely. All right. Well, that was a good episode. What do you think?
Is that it?
Yeah. If you didn't check out the last episode, it's there.
Check it out.
You could try to trudge through it. We're gonna try to be a bit more organized in our content.
Yeah, that was kind of just like a rant,
Yeah, we just let's freestyle it. It was the first time to do it, so
yeah.
Yeah, but we'll be putting out a video every week.
At least.
Possibly more. We might put out 2 this week if we interview the drill sergeant. We're definitely interviewing, but I don't know if it'll be this week. But
yeah. that's gonna be next item on the docket. I think is getting some alternate perspectives of boot camp, right, from the drill sergeant's point of view. Right. I think that's something that you don't see too much of, and I think that'll be a very interesting and enlightening conversation to have.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that one.
Unfortunately, it's got to be done over a phone call.
It's got to be done over a phone call. She does not live anywhere close to us.
Well, and everybody knows that boot camp is 12 to 14 weeks long. So when does someone like that have time?
Well, I don't know.
But yeah, so do us a favor, like the video, subscribe, tell people about it if you like it. So.
It's that part of the YouTube video.
Yeah, it's that part. It's the outro. But
punch the like button and tell your friends.
So